Hello, hello. All right, looks like one of my destinations is okay. So today we're going to be talking about, I'm streaming in multiple places, so I want to make sure that that's working. And if it's not, I'll repost it. But today I wanted to share with you a topic that is relevant, and it's something that, regardless of what's going on, it will be relevant to you because of just the nature of the topic. And so we're going to be talking about staying focused. And let me share over into the Facebook group and let me know where you're watching from in the world. And all right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, today we're going to talk about staying focused despite distractions because the world needs what you have to offer. And so, as you all know, I am in the process of releasing my book, Profitable Publishing, with pre orders. And I want to share a little bit of an anecdote of my story so that way you can see that I go through the same things you all go through as authors. Hey, thanks for tuning in over on Instagram. I go through the same thing you all go through as authors of getting distracted, of being discouraged, and of just trying to figure things out. And so I want to just encourage you in that process as well. So, with this, when it comes to staying focused, there's a couple tips I'm going to give you and a couple strategies that I use for myself to get myself back on track and to recalibrate. Because regardless of what's going on in the world, regardless of what's going on in your personal life, I know people are dealing with different things that happen individually, health issues, concerns about the future, concerns about how their business is going to look, and things of that sort. Hey, Paula. It's important to really calibrate yourself and remember a few things. And so we'll talk about those today. So, first, one of the biggest things you can do to stay focused is to remember that you control what's happening on the inside. So, you can't control what's happening outside, but you can control what's happening on the inside to some degree. And so, for reference, my first book came out, my first two books came out in 2020. And so, that was at the height of the pandemic. There was senseless killings of people that looked like me and looked like my new child that I had because I had a 6 to 9 month well, yeah, 6 to 9 month old with my first book, and then of course he was older with the next book. And to me, when outside is doing whatever outside is gonna do, I go inward and I do what I can do to control. So I channel that energy into something of where I can be productive for others to be able to create something to support them. That's a way that I kind of give back and a way that I help to create some sense of, what is the word I'm looking for? Some sense of weight that I can give back and to support people. And so that's not everybody's strategy, and that's totally fine. But one thing that will be helpful for you, so step one to stay focused, is to eliminate distractions. And so that looks like mitigating and thinking about, okay, how much time do I want to spend on social media? How much time do I want to spend scrolling? How much time am I going to spend, how much time am I going to spend doing certain things that don't fill my cup? And so definitely not saying, hey, Christina, definitely not saying that you have to block out all these things and just be completely in a bubble. You definitely want to be informed. You definitely want to still do those things that are fun. Like, it's fun to have conversations with social media and things like that. But you want to really think about, okay, is this draining me or is this energizing me? Are these conversations supporting my goals, or are they helping me to take a break? Like, I know I'm the friend who sends people reels all the time. Friends and family, I send them reels, and I send them ones that will fit them. And so that's like fun to kiki and haha and laugh at those things. But I also have to be mindful to make sure that I'm only doing that to a certain degree, or I'm only doing that to a certain time period, because then it can be counterproductive to what I want to get done. And so thinking about where you're spending your time, where you're showing up in spaces. And so y'all heard me talk about Threads before. I show up a lot on Threads because it's a space that energizes me. It's a space where it's easy to connect with my people. And I know some of you who are watching now are on Threads as well. And so feel free to connect with me there. I'm just at Shep Publishing on all platforms, but there as well. And so spending time in places that are going to pour into you, and then pulling back from those places that are not, and understanding that you don't have to be on every platform, and really even social media at all, if that's your business model. Of course, social media makes it easier to tap into our audience and reach our readers in a way that is revolutionary and was not available previously to previous generations. But it can also be something that could be a huge distraction if it's not a way that you're able to if you're not able to channel that. So what does that look like to eliminating your distractions? So on these apps, you also have the option to block certain words or filter through certain content. So if there's certain things you don't want to see, you have the freedom to do that. Or there are features within each of the apps to be able to monitor your screen time. You can set it up to where you are only able to be logged onto for a certain time period. Or if you have an iPhone, they have it built in as well. Or just setting a timer if your phone doesn't have that, just setting a timer and saying, okay, I'm only going to spend this much time scrolling on social media. I'm only going to spend this much time doing XYZ, or I'm only going to binge 1 or 2 episodes. Well, I guess if you're only watching 1 episode, it's not a binge, but I'm only going to watch 3 episodes of my show because I want to make sure I'm getting these other things done. And so I like to watch Law and Order SVU. And then, and I always say that, I always want to make sure I don't say that backwards because sometimes I say SUV, which is the opposite one, but long time Law and Order fan. And so thinking, okay, I'm going to watch these episodes, or I'm going to save these episodes as my reward for when I'm done with a big task. And so, for example, I was finishing up my manuscript for my new book, and I haven't been watching the new season of Law and Order because I said, okay, I'm going to spend that time, finish my manuscript, and then I have something to binge when that time comes. And so, hey, Cynthia, happy Friday to you as well. And so we're talking about eliminating distractions. And so whatever your distractions might be, you want to look at that. And if you're like, well, I don't really know, or you might want to actually look and see what your devices are telling you are your distractions. And so this is something that my husband and I did unintentionally last night. We were looking at screen time on our phones. And so if you have an iPhone, I don't know if Droids do it. I don't have a Droid, so maybe some Droid folks in the comments can let us know. But if you have an iPhone, it will let you know that you're spending this much time doing this, you're spending this much time doing this, like down to the hour. And so if you need to do a time audit and really just take a look at that and see, okay, I'm spending X amount of time on this app, or I'm spending X amount of time on this app, then that helps you to be able to make informed decisions about what it is that you're going to do next. All right, so in the comments, let me add you onto the screen. Let's see, okay. So I'll put you up here. All right, so Christina says that, yes, being mindful of energy givers versus energy drainers is key to guarding your energy. Exactly right. And so being mindful of the spaces that you are in, the conversations that you're having, the level of engagement that you're spending talking to people on the internet, strangers on the internet a lot of times. Or if they're not strangers, if they're people in your family, people that you're friends with, being mindful of those kinds of conversations that you're having, because are those conversations ones that are life-giving and that are pushing you toward your goals, or are they ones that are depleting you and then you end up having an attitude for the rest of the day, or you end up feeling down about something that you talked to somebody about? Really being mindful of that, because you need that energy and you need that mindset to be able to do everything else when it comes to writing your books, when it comes to finding your cover designer, when it comes to editing your books. All of those things matter, and they have to they are affected by what it is that you are taking in. And so y'all know that I'm a believer, so I believe in things that you take in your eyes and your ears, your eye gates and your ear gates. They affect you down the line. And so being mindful and setting limits for yourself of what you're going to consume, and then also setting limits for other people of what they're going to expose you to. And so if you know that there's certain friends that you have where you can only have certain types of conversations with them, like I have some friends, it's like we can talk about pop culture, we can talk about other things, but I can't really talk about business with them because that's just not, they're just not a business owner, and so that's just not the area that we discuss. Or there's other people who it's like, okay, we don't really talk about the kiki and the ha-haing, we talk about business stuff. And so I know when I go to talk to that friend, they're going to give me sound business advice. I'm going to give her sound business advice, things like that. And so being in spaces that are in alignment with where you're trying to go. Then, okay, number 2. So this is kind of similar, but another way to stay focused is to protect your peace. And this is something that can look a lot of different ways to a lot of different people, but being mindful of how is it that you are able to show, so thinking about how it is that you're able to show up and what things are edifying. So what things are going to drain you. Now, this doesn't mean to be unaware of what's going on. There's a lot of changes that are happening, especially in the United States, but across the world. It doesn't mean to be completely unaware, but maybe it means that, okay, you're not going to spend all day scrolling on social media to get your news from there, or you're not going to spend this time worrying about the latest gossip from XYZ. Maybe you're going to unfollow some accounts. Maybe you are going to follow some accounts, and really auditing and looking and seeing, okay, what am I consuming and how's what I'm consuming affecting me? And with that, that is important not just online, but also in offline spaces, because thinking about the places that you appear in, the places that you show up in, whether it is for something that's business or personal related, you want to be mindful of that because all of that affects you and it's something you carry with you. And so protecting your peace might look like, okay, after 10 o'clock, I'm not going to get on social media, or after this time, I'm going to leave my phone in another room so I can get some good sleep. If you're somebody who's somebody who tends to look at your phone throughout the night or before you go to bed, or it's something of like not sharing things with certain people. So I know this is something that affects some folks is, and I get this question often is, what do you do about people who don't want to support your book? Hey, Rella, what do you do about people who are naysaying about your book? What do you do? For example, I spoke with a potential client earlier this week, and she is not an author yet, but she has friends that are authors. And she was coming to me for marketing advice. And one of the things that she mentioned is that those friends were telling her, well, you're probably not going to make any money from your book when it first comes out, or you're going to spend the next 3 to 5 years trying to recover your publishing costs. And if y'all have been here, you know me, red flags going off, ma'am, no ma'am, no ma'am. Like, all advice is not good advice. And whether or not these people are, and I don't think her friends were doing it to be ill, I don't think they had ill intent when they were doing these things. However, I do think that people come to you from their frame of reference and they come to you from their perspective. So the advice that they're giving you might not be advice that jives with what actually aligns with you. When in reality, when she told me her book's topic and the market research that she had already done, even as a first time author, she could very easily make back her expenses within the first 3 to 6 months, if that. With a bulk book order, with on par marketing, like she could make her money back easily. And so I say that because sometimes in author spaces, I am hesitant to say we, but in author spaces, sometimes other authors are not mindful of the negativity that they are sharing with other authors who might feel discouraged, or you might hear advice from someone else who's like, oh, well, you have to wait till you have a series to make any money, or you have to wait till XYZ, or X, all of that stuff. You don't have to wait for those things, and you don't have to follow the same advice as someone else just because it worked for them. That doesn't mean that it's not going to work for you, or and vice versa. Just because it, so let me flip flop that. Just because it took them this amount of time to be able to get that same result doesn't mean it's going to take you that amount of time to get that result, and vice versa. So on the low end or the high end. And so being mindful of who you introduce your projects with. So we talk about sharing things before they're finished here. We talk about hosting a pre-order so that way you can recuperate your publishing costs before your book is done, and to create your own advance. And so when it comes to that, that's a radical idea. That's not something that most people think is even possible. Most authors, first of all, most people in general think that authors don't make any money. Point blank, period. They think that all of us are starving artists and that there's no money in books. And then, second of all, the people who are authors and who have made some money, the large majority, at least in self-publishing, and also in some traditional spaces, they assume that you have to release that second book before you can make any money, any like real money, with your first book. They think, okay, I need to release my second book so that I can use that to have my back catalog and have people buy the back catalog. That is a great strategy. However, that should not be the only strategy that you're using to be able to sell books. You should not have to wait until your second, third, fourth book is out to be able to make money from your first book. You can still make money from your first book. And so that's exactly what my book teaches. So if you haven't ordered a copy, then you can pre-order it at profitableselfpublishing.com. And if you have already ordered, thank you so much. And so going back to our points, protecting your peace, being mindful of who you share what with. So if you have someone in your life who you know is overtly negative, or if you have someone in your life who is not going to pour back into you when you share those things with them, then you want to be mindful of the fact that, okay, maybe I don't want to share this with them until it's finished. Or maybe I want to have good counsel, seek wise counsel with people who are going to sow into me. Maybe I need to get connected with an author group. And if you need an author group, then I have one over on Facebook that you can join, and it's called Sell More Books, Author Marketing Made Easy. And thinking about, okay, who are the people I need to share this with? Because what can happen is that when you share your gift and your joy that you have about your book or a new project you're working on, it can be trampled by people who are either small-minded, and I'm not saying that in a negative way, but people who are small-minded or people who are not tapped into what it is that you're trying to do. And one quote, and I don't know who said this, but the fact of when you get a vision, and of course I have a biblical perspective, but when you get a vision, or if God has given you a gift, the gift was given to you. The vision was given to you. It wasn't a conference call. God did not call you and whoever else around you into the meeting to say, hey, this is what this person's going to do. It was specifically for you. And if you don't believe in God, that's fine. But wherever you're getting your ideas from, it was given to you. It wasn't given to everybody else and their mama. So you have to be mindful of stewarding that gift and be mindful of protecting that gift. And so you also hear me reference that your book is your baby, and it's something that it's your job to help bring it to life. And so in that process, you're protecting it just like you would a child. I have a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old, and the 1-year-old is determined to launch himself off of things, and he started climbing on things, and it's just giving us a heart attack all day. So with that, it's my job to protect him. It's my and my husband's job to protect him, to make sure that he gets out of this stage where he's trying to do all these things. And so with your book, it's the same thing. It's your job to be able to focus enough to be able to bring your gift to fruition. So to bring your gift to fruition, it's your job to be able to make sure that you are protecting it. So that means like sharing it with the right people, sharing it with people at the right time. So making sure you're sharing it with like an interest list, or as opposed to the whole world if you don't want to give them all those details. And I also say that because if you have to understand yourself and know yourself, because if you're the type of person who is like, I need the pats on the back, or I don't mind sharing it with people because I'm gonna write this book anyway, then go ahead and share it. Go ahead and do your announcement post. Let people know the book is coming out. Do your pre-order. Highly recommend that. That's what my book focuses on, and my group coaching program, Pre-Order Profits, focuses on that as well. And so, but if you know, like, if you're gonna be swayed by people saying whatever they're gonna say to you, then you might need to wait to share it until after your edits are done. Because at that point, you're almost done. Or maybe you need to wait till you have a book cover, because maybe for you, you would rather have it so it's something that's a little bit more tangible for people to see. All right, let me check the comments. Hey, Lauren, thanks for joining. And then Miss Mickey said, help us today. Yes, ma'am. I said, I got to get on and preach a little bit. And not in a like holier than that way, because some of these same things I had to get back focused myself. I had to take a break and take a beat and then re-up. And so now I'm back in my time of I'm back. And so I was like, let me come on and share it with authors. And so, okay, Lauren said her 1-year-old is doing that too. Yes, these toddlers, off the chain. So let's do review. So the first step to focus is to eliminate distractions. The second step is to protect your peace. And then the third step is to channel your inner being. And I'm not going to for free, but follow me for a second. So channel your inner personality to be able to reach your goals. And so over on Threads, I did a post talking about how, and I meant to pull it up. Let me look. So I did a post talking about how your book is a gift that is for someone else. And I know people think, okay, well, the book is for me. You're writing the book, but the book is really for someone else. Your book is a gift for someone else, and it is something that is going to help people to do a couple different things. And so maybe your book is to help a child to learn how to read. My 5-year-old's learning how to read now. He's very into certain Disney movies, and so we get books that are tied to that. Maybe your book is to help somebody to create financial freedom. At a time like this, and really any time, it's a great idea to have financial freedom, whatever that means to you. Your book could be that thing that helps them. So, for example, I'm using my book again. For my book, Profitable Publishing with Pre-Orders, it's something where once authors learn how to do a profitable pre-order, you're never going to want to do anything else again. Like getting paid to release your book without having to go through the traditional publishing route is like chef's kiss. Just putting that out there. And so once you learn how to do that, it's something that creates a pattern for you to be able to continuously do that. And then it makes it so that you are not having to wait until something. You're not having to wait for something else to happen in order for you to do what you need to do. You're able to cover your publishing costs, meaning cover that editor, because editing can be expensive, but it's worthy and it's worth it. Being able to pay for your cover designs, being able to hire help, being able to have a VA to help you, even if it's on a short-term basis. Having that so it's something where you're able to not have to do everything yourself is just a wonderful gift, and you're hiring someone else to be able to provide income for them. And so your book may be something like that. Your book may be something that helps people get out of a bad situation. If you have a self-help book, maybe somebody is trying to realign themselves. Maybe they're trying to lose weight. Maybe they're trying to get out of a bad relationship. All of those things are topics that your book is supporting other people to be able to do. And by not releasing that book, by not promoting your book, if your book is already out, means that there are people who are still stuck in that season or in that period of their life because you haven't been obedient to what your gift is. And so there's a quote that I love, that I share from time to time from Amber L. Wright. She's a conversation coach, and her handles are words well said. So on social, how you can find her. But a quote that she shared back in 2017 when I was kind of on the fence about doing one of my businesses is that your gift is someone else's struggle. Why would you insult God by not setting them free? When she said that, I said, okay, let me go ahead and sign up for my LLC and let me get my stuff done. Because when you realize that your gifts and your book is a gift, when you realize that your book is something that can unlock and open things that other people have been stuck on, and when you realize that your gift is something, when your book or your business, whatever the case may be, whatever it is that you're selling, when you realize that what it is that you're creating has a higher purpose and a higher calling, then it's just flat out disobedience for you not to share it. And it's almost selfish for you not to share it. When you think about, okay, you have this amazing thing, why would you not tell people about it? Why would you not tell the right people about it? Let me say that. The right people. So speaking to your audience, speaking directly to the people who are going to be the ones who benefit from what it is that you have to offer. And so it's so important to not get defeated. It's so important to not be stressed out. It's so important to not be overwhelmed. And I'm not saying don't take breaks. Definitely take breaks. Pause, sign off, go do what you got to do, book a trip, whatever you got to do. We got a book trip. We booked a trip for later this year. Um, Whatever it is that you need to do to restore yourself, but don't stop, don't quit, and understand that there's a season for everything. And if it's your season, then you need to tap into that season because your people are waiting on you. Your clients are waiting on you, your readers are waiting on you, and the longer that it takes you to do what you need to do, the longer it takes them to get their breakthrough. Ooh, rhyming. I need to write that down. Dropping bars. So the longer it takes you to do what you need to do, the longer it takes them to get their breakthrough. Okay? So channel your inner whoever you want to be, your Sasha Fierce, whoever you are, channel your inner whatever that is. If you need to be an alter ego, and tap in, because now more than ever, it's so important for you to be able to have diversified income. It's so important for you to be able to reach your readers, and it's so important for you to be able to share that gift, because when you suppress your gift and you don't make it plain, you don't make it to where people can see it, then it ends up making it so that you are internally, that you're having an internal struggle because you are not sharing that thing. And so don't do that to yourself when you could just put it out there. And I have a couple clients who, in particular a coaching client, she has really doubled down. She's had challenges over the past year, but she's really doubled down and she's released over 20 books. If she lets me, I'll say who it is, but she's released over 20 books in her first year of being an author, and she's doing coaching with folks. She got booked for a speaking gig that's a multi-month speaking gig where they ordered bulk books from her, and then they're promoting her. And it's just something where once you start leaning into what it is that you're supposed to be doing, then you will see the results. It won't be immediate. I'm not going to say that. It does take time, it does take mindset, and it does take understanding to be able to get there. However, once you start moving in that direction, once you start hiring the coach, once you start reading the books, once you start doing the work, you're going to see the results. And people are going to be attracted to you. Okay, she said I could say it. So Christina, who's on here, she's had a phenomenal trajectory. We've been working together, I want to say, for about 6 months. For about 6 months. And so she's a coaching client. She's gone through my Pre-Order Profits group coaching program as well. And she has just done phenomenal things in terms, all those things I listed, that's her. So she's done phenomenal things. And she's at the point where she's now supporting other authors to be able to publish their books. Because once you start moving in the direction of what it is that you want to do, people see you and they say, oh, can you help me? Oh, I see that you released this thing. Oh, I see that you spoke here. Oh, can you show up on my podcast? And I'm not just saying this, like, she's evidence, I'm evidence. I've had people reach out to me to appear on their podcast just because they've seen me be consistent. They've seen me post on social media. They've gotten my emails. They understand, okay, she knows what she's talking about. So that becomes external marketing for me. And then now those people become raving fans because they say, oh, okay, Ashley knows her stuff. I want to send people to her. I want her to appear on this show for me. For example, I just recorded a podcast episode this past weekend for Juanita, for the Author Impact Club. And so that'll appear that'll show up for next month. So it's like you're planting seeds for your future by you're going to reap the harvest in your future by planting the seeds now. So even if it is that maybe your book's not ready, maybe you're in the writing phase of your book, maybe you are new to being an author or you're not quite an author yet and you're trying to figure things out, but start taking the steps to move towards the direction of what you want to do. And going back to our point of focusing, don't be distracted. Understand that things are going to happen. Folks going to do what they're going to do. Outside's going to do what it's going to do. And you can only control you. So use that, lean into it, and then focus. And then understand that the results will come if you continue to step into those, if you continue to build that momentum and continue to take those steps. And I did mention earlier, if you had any questions, you can add those in the chat. Sorry, I just been up here preaching, talking. Thank you all for the #bars in the in the chat. So it's just something where I want you to be encouraged. I want you to understand that I know people have been joking about January is the longest month ever. It's 150 days of January. But there's still time. Like if you haven't reached your goals yet, or if you haven't set your goals yet, there's still time in this year. You still have 11 months. I know February's starting tomorrow. But you still have time to achieve those goals. And the goal that you set and the parameter that you set is up to you. So sometimes we can set unrealistic goals, or we can set goals that are a little bit out of this world, which is fine. But if you understand that, okay, this is a really high stretch goal for me, I got to do the work that matches that goal. So if I know I want to sell this many copies of my book, or I want to get booked on this many podcasts, my input is going to have to match what needs to have that as the outcome. So whatever I put into it, I need to understand that I can't just apply to 5 podcasts and think, okay, I'm going to get all 5. Statistically, that's not going to happen. And that's okay. Just understand that if you want to get on 5, you probably need to pitch like 15, maybe 20. You'll probably get at least a 20. But understand you have to do the work to be able to get there. And that's the part that people don't always think about, or they don't always think through, and they don't always understand how long it takes. And I'm guilty of that sometimes too. So for my current book, it's taken a little bit longer than I wanted it to take for me to complete the manuscript. And I was joking with Veronica over on Facebook, because I was like, oh, my editor said she's not going to start till Monday, so I can go back in there and make a couple edits before she starts. And Veronica was like, absolutely not, leave it alone. And so understanding that, like, okay, do what you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. Get it done. Get it out there, because the sooner that you get that thing out there, the sooner as you release that book, the sooner as you release that training, that course, the sooner you'll get feedback on that thing, which is another reason why I'm such a big proponent of pre-orders, because you're able to get the feedback before. Whereas if you're focusing on just releasing your book, so let's do a timeline. So let's say you're not doing a pre-order. So that means you spend weeks, months, years writing a book. Then you spend months releasing it, and then you get it out there. And then you don't find out till later that it's not exactly what people wanted it to be, or that it's a flop or whatever. As opposed to when you're doing a pre-order, then you're spending time with those beta readers, you're spending time being able to get that feedback, you're spending time with people giving you your money, giving you their money to say, okay, I believe in this thing, I know this is going to be great, and they're able to tap into that. Now, you can also, of course, do beta readers during the first model. However, beta readers are not necessarily customers. They can be customers, they may or may not be. And having someone pay you versus having someone just give you their feedback is a whole different ballgame. And I'm not saying, like, obviously I love beta readers. I'm not saying that. I'm about to send out some stuff to my beta readers today, actually, for them to be able to look at the draft. But it's just different when people are saying, okay, I'm not paying with likes or just like a comment, I'm paying with funds. It's different. Those are the types of people who are going to be more likely to potentially purchase something else from you, or they're going to be more likely to be a raving fan. Not saying this is not possible with general beta readers. However, when it comes to focusing on profit and focusing on things that you need to drive your business forward, you want to focus on the folks who are going to not only pay you, but also pay you in advance to be able to get that thing done. And then, of course, be very communicative during the process. So communicating with folks, letting them know, popping up, making sure that you're not disappearing, falling off the face of the earth is key. So, all right, I'm going to take a sip of water, and then we are pretty much done. So if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Or comments. I'll take a look throughout. I have kind of taken a look earlier. Okay. You have a few more seconds, and then I'm gonna hop off and go get the rest of my stuff done. But I thought it was necessary to share, because I kind of was experiencing a little bit of like, oh, okay, I gotta log off because it's too much. But I remembered that you all need me to be able to encourage you. And then also the book that I'm writing is a gift. And so it's my responsibility to bring it to life and to bring it to fruition for people like you. So, all right. I don't see any questions, so I'm going to head out. And if you're catching this on replay, just add in hashtag replay in the chat. And thank you so much for tuning in, either live or otherwise. So stay focused.